Have you ever bought or sold something on eBay and then thought, wait a minute, did I just get scammed? Well, if so, you're not alone, because scammers are coming up with new ways to trick buyers and sellers every day. But don't worry, I've got you covered, because today we're going to talk about the top 10 eBay scams that you need to know about, and most importantly, how you can avoid them. And trust me, I've seen them all. I've been selling on eBay for over 13 years, and I've completed over 50,000 successful transactions. So I've seen a thing or two when it comes to selling on eBay. So whether you're just starting out or if you've been on eBay for years, this video is going to help you keep your hard-earned money safe. And I'll be covering scams that happen to both buyers and sellers. So we're going to go back and forth between the two perspectives. That way, you'll get the full picture on how these scams work and how you can stay ahead of the game so you won't lose your hard-earned money. So let's jump right in. Let's start with eBay buyers. With this scam, a seller lists an item and then you buy it and pay for it. The seller will then mark the item as shipped but upload tracking and never actually ship it. And then, crickets. At this point, you might try contacting the buyer and they may not even reply, or they could completely disappear. Other times, they'll keep stringing you along through eBay messages with excuse after excuse. When they do this, they're attempting to stall the transaction until it's too late for you to file a claim. Because whenever you buy an item on eBay, you're protected by eBay's money-back guarantee for 30 days. Some scammers know that if they can hold you off until after that period, there may be little that eBay can do to protect you as the buyer. So how do you protect yourself? First off, always check a seller's feedback rating before making a purchase. If something seems too good to be true, like a brand new iPhone for half price, it probably is. And if a seller asks you to wait beyond eBay's buyer protection period, don't fall for it. If this is happening to you, open an item not received case in your eBay purchase history before the deadline passes. And if you do so, you'll be completely protected by eBay. All right, now sellers. Scammers can target you too, and they'll especially try to target you if you're new to eBay and they see that you don't have much feedback yet. Scammers can target you with a non-delivery scam as well. Every once in a while, you might get a customer that claims they haven't received their package, and they might say that the post office has lost it, delivered it to a different address, or could even claim that the package was stolen. When this happens, a customer almost always demands a refund, and even if the tracking shows that the package was delivered. Now, the best way that you can protect yourself as a seller is to make sure that you always upload tracking numbers on eBay. If you upload tracking and that tracking shows that there was a confirmed delivery, eBay will always protect you, even if they open up an item not received case. If you enter tracking numbers into the sale history and that tracking shows delivery, there's nothing that a buyer can do to get back their money. And if a buyer leaves you negative feedback claiming that they didn't receive their package, eBay will remove it if the tracking says otherwise. Okay, moving on to the next scam. Let's talk for a minute about fake products. Have you ever come across an insanely good deal on a Rolex or designer handbag? Yeah. Those are usually too good to be true. Even though eBay works diligently to stop counterfeits from being listed on their platform and even offers authentication services with their authenticity guarantee program, the reality is that fakes still slip through the cracks and counterfeit items are often listed on eBay. In fact, some fakes are so well made nowadays that even experts struggle to tell the difference. So to protect yourself, stick with reputable sellers with plenty of positive feedback on eBay. Sellers with a long-standing, good selling record are proven to be trustworthy and you can rely on those sellers. Just remember, if the price is way lower than what you'd expect, be skeptical. And if you ever receive a counterfeit item, report it to eBay immediately so that you can start a return and get your money back. Now sellers, you can fall victim to this counterfeit scam as well. This can happen when you sell a high-end or luxury item and the customer opens a return. But instead of returning an authentic item that you ship to your customer, they return a counterfeit item back to you in its place. If you sell in categories that counterfeit products are common, be sure to really inspect your items whenever you receive a return. And if you receive anything back that is different than what you actually shipped your customer, make sure to dispute that return with eBay. And remember, the more documentation you have, the better off your case will go. Okay, the next scam is just downright dirty. A seller will list an item at a great price and then you buy it, and when the package arrives, surprise, it's just an empty box. And then the seller will claim, oh, I sent the real product, or it must have been lost in transit. And suddenly you're stuck in a messy refund battle. If this happens to you, make sure that you document your case with pictures and be sure to open a return case in your purchase history. Even if you have to ship back the empty box that you received, you'll still get a refund if you go through the return process. Remember, timelines matter and you have 30 days to dispute the scam to be sure that you're protected by eBay's buyer guarantees. Now sellers, buyers can pull a similar scam on you too. They'll claim that when their package was delivered that the box was damaged in transit or that the box was empty. This has happened to me in the past, but it's really rare. I've had cases where the post office did actually rip a hole in the package and the product fell out and got lost. And I've also had times in reality when the customer got exactly what they ordered, they lied, and then they just wanted a free refund. So what do you do if you find yourself in this boat? Well, you always want to make sure to use eBay's built-in tracking system. When a package is damaged by a mail carrier, the carrier is required to mark the package with the delivery exception in the tracking. A delivery exception is an actual digital note that the post office puts in the tracking that shows that they were responsible for the damage. And if this happens, you can then file an insurance dispute with the mail carrier. And if your package wasn't insured, I would recommend trying to open a case with eBay. Now, empty box scams are few and far between, but they do happen. And the big thing to remember is to open a claim right away. As with any scam on eBay, the faster you act, the better your chances are of getting a refund. Next up, we have a scam that is really sneaky. Let's say you're on eBay and you're looking and you find a PlayStation 5 for an amazing price. You jump on it and you hit buy it now, but then you're waiting for it to arrive, only to realize later that the listing actually said box only. Yep, you just paid a ton of money for an empty box. Now to avoid this, be sure to read every listing carefully. If anything seems unclear in the listing, remember that you can always message the seller and ask questions before buying. If a seller is unwilling to respond to your messages, that should be a red flag as well. Scammers will often count on people skimming the listing and missing the fine print. Don't fall for it. But if you do, remember to act quickly and open a return. Even if a seller doesn't have a return policy, eBay is required to force that seller to accept a return if you select that the item was not as described. Doing this will also make the seller pay for return shipping, so you won't be on the hook for postage as well. Now I know, opening a return may be a hassle to have to do, but at least you'll always get your money back. All right, now sellers, there's a similar bait and switch tactic that scamming buyers will use to try to scam you as well. And this can happen a lot to sellers that sell things like replacement parts. What will happen is the customer uses your old part and then ships you back their old broken part. Or maybe they return an item that is completely different than the item that you actually sent them. For example, one time I sold a pair of shoes and the customer sent me back a box of rocks. Now, the best way to protect yourself if you find yourself in this scam is to document everything, even before you make the sale. When you're listing your items, you always want to make sure to take actual pictures of the actual item that you're listing. Don't ever use stock photos or photos from another listing. If you take your own photographs, it'll make it a lot easier to dispute the return fraud. Now, once you do get the return back, also make sure to document and photograph what you received then as well, and then contact eBay and dispute the return. Now, if for any reason eBay doesn't side with you as the seller, you can always escalate the return with law enforcement. After all, you have the buyer's address, name, and contact information. If you file a police report, and you can do this at your local police office, eBay is required to reimburse you for your losses. Now, this is very rare, and I've only had to do this once or twice in my 13 years of selling over 50,000 items on eBay. So I would only use that tactic if it really actually warrants it. Okay, moving on to the next scam, and this one is actually a pretty classic con. And this happens to eBay sellers when a buyer purchases an item but doesn't pay for it immediately. And then these scammers will hold their payment and contact sellers claiming that they have actually already paid. They'll try to pressure the seller into shipping the item and will even send messages and sometimes even pictures of fake bank statements saying that they paid, but the payment hasn't actually gone through. When a seller ships an item without receiving payment, there's really nothing that you can do to get your item back. If you receive a message like this, all you have to do is reply back to your customer and say that you'll ship it as soon as you get confirmation from eBay that their payment has been received. If eBay doesn't give you a payment confirmation or notification, then whatever you do, do not ship the item. Because if you do, this is one of the rare scams where you don't have much protection from eBay as a seller. You can try to appeal it, and I'd encourage you to do so, but eBay won't give you much help. And if you've fallen into this trap, your best option is to contact law enforcement and file charges. Next up is a scam that can target both buyers and sellers, and it's called the stolen account scam. Scammers will often hijack old eBay accounts with strong feedback histories, and when they gain access, they'll list high-value items at unrealistically low prices, collecting payment, and then they'll vanish, leaving the buyer empty-handed. So how can you protect yourself? If you're a buyer, be cautious of newly listed items from accounts that haven't been active in a while. And remember, if a deal looks too good to be true, It probably is. Take a moment to research the seller or the item before clicking buy it now. Now, if you're a seller, the best defense is actually having good, strong account security. And if you suspect your eBay account has been compromised, contact eBay support immediately. Acting fast can help minimize damage and make the recovery process much shorter. The next scam to watch out for is known as the shipping address scam. Now, this usually happens when a buyer places an order and then messages the seller asking them to change the item and have it shipped to a different address. And if you agree as the seller, the buyer can later claim that they never received the package. And since the item was shipped to an address that was not verified by eBay, then eBay will most likely side with the buyer, leaving you at a loss. Now, you might be wondering what the solution is, and I would recommend never shipping to a different address after a purchase is made. Now, it's not unusual for a buyer to realize that they made a mistake with their shipping details, and this actually happens somewhat regularly to me in my eBay account. But in that case, the safest approach is to cancel the order and then relist the item. And you want to be sure to communicate clearly with your buyer, letting them know that for both your protection and theirs, it's best for them to repurchase the item using their correct address. Also, if you're using a shipping service outside of eBay's platform, make sure to always upload your tracking information right away. This will help protect you in a case of any shipping related disputes. And remember, always ship to the address that eBay provides at checkout. No exceptions. Now, this next scam is also pretty common, and this one actually happens outside of eBay. Have you ever received an email that looks like it's from eBay asking you for your login information or to provide payment information? That's called a phishing scam. These emails often look very convincing, but the links inside of them lead to fake websites designed to steal your login credentials or your personal information. To protect yourself, never click on links in suspicious emails. If you need to check something on eBay, open up a new browser window and type in ebay.com directly into the address bar. Make sure to always log in from the official eBay website. Now, eBay will use email to send legitimate correspondence, but they also mirror that information in your eBay Messages Center. The safest approach is to verify any message by logging into your eBay account and checking your messages there, rather than relying solely on what comes through your email inbox. We've now reached the final scam on our list, and this one is called feedback extortion. As a seller, you might occasionally receive an aggressive message from a buyer making demands or threatening to leave you negative feedback. Some buyers will attempt to blackmail a seller by insisting on a refund in exchange for not leaving a bad review. Others may claim that they want to return an item but have no real intentions of doing so. They're only doing it to pressure you into giving them a partial refund. Now, it's important to remember that you are never required to provide partial refunds on eBay. Feedback extortion directly violates eBay's policies, and buyers are not allowed to use feedback as leverage to demand discounts or refunds. Now, if you suspect a buyer is engaging in this type of behavior, respond professionally and offer them a full refund upon returning the item that they received. In many cases, simply calling their bluff is enough to deter them. However, if they follow through with a negative feedback, you can have that feedback removed as long as you have an eBay message record proving that the buyer engaged in feedback extortion. And if you have that, eBay will review the case and take appropriate action to have that negative feedback removed. At the end of the day, eBay is a wonderful platform to buy and sell. eBay works really hard to keep scammers off their platform because they don't benefit whatsoever if people don't trust eBay to buy and to sell on. And remember, if a deal seems too good to be true, you should always trust your gut. And if any of these scams happen to you, report them immediately to eBay. eBay takes fraud very seriously, and if you act fast, you have a really good shot at getting your money back. Now, before I go, I'm curious, have you ever encountered an eBay scam that is not mentioned on this list? If so, drop your story down below and it'll give other people the chance to read it and maybe help prevent them from getting scammed too. And if you found what I shared in this video to be helpful, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel for more tips on how to buy and sell safely on eBay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye guys.